And this is the way Monroe is today. It's really fragmented. There's not much happening on it. There's some existing buildings, and then the shopping center across the street presents a blank brick wall to the street. It doesn't contribute much to it. And this is part of that retail loop that we'd love to see built in your downtown core. So we could imagine a future where when the hotel gets built, there's some new retail along the frontage of the hotel, or a building, another building maybe on that site, that maybe someday the Pine Shopping Center could be redeveloped. At the minimum, they could build a new retail building that fronts Monroe where the parking lot is, to provide some, it's like an outparcel building, to provide some storefronts along Monroe so that it becomes a much more pleasant street in the future. And this is, you know, this would be part of the shopping circuit in your downtown. So we're going to fly up again to get an overall view of the 3D model that our team worked so hard on this week. And we're going to zoom in a little bit on the Pine Shopping Center. I saved this for last because it's the most speculative aspect of our planning. It's right now a cash cow for the owner. It's very profitable probably for them. They have probably almost no debt on it. And so it's, you know, there's very little incentive to sell this property over time, but we speculated what would happen if the use of this land, first if we could work with the existing shopping center, what might we recommend to improve it, and then how might that property someday be redeveloped. This is the existing conditions, a grocery store here and some inline stores, some of them vacant, Sunoco station, an empty outparcel building on the corner. One thing that we would recommend right away is that we redevelop the construction debris site in this area with new residential, single family, attached or detached, that along the street that complements the single family houses across the street. This really is an alley and could continue in this development alternative to remain an alley. We'd also could extend this street through and break through the shopping center all the way to Eldon Street, so that we begin to subdivide the shopping center into a series of urban blocks. The grocery store might expand in size in the future. We recommend exploring the idea of another outparcel building on the corner with shop fronts that face Eldon and face Monroe, so that we can begin to improve the character of Monroe as a street. And then to introduce some landscaping concepts, including some streetscaping right in the parking lot, to give a more urban and pedestrian-friendly feel. So these are some ideas that we could consider for improving the Pine Shopping Center. We looked at an alternative where we would actually create largely a residential square surrounded by townhouses, very similar to the townhouses at the Fortnightly project or in other places in your downtown, where we could introduce well over 100. I think we have 105 townhouses here. They would be for sale, maybe with some gateway street that comes into the town square that might be flanked by little convenience shops for the residents and for people in the downtown as well. Maybe a community facility or civic building on the corner of Monroe and Eldon. And so this is more of a predominantly residential reuse of the Pine Shopping Center site. We would extend Pine Street through. It would be a residential street of great beauty, we think, with a beautiful town square. And then all these houses would be alley served with parking in the back, so that they could have very beautiful facades facing the streets and the public square. Another option is to look at a mixed-use concept where we would have townhouses facing the neighborhood. We might have unit buildings, maybe apartment buildings or condominium buildings. And then we would have along the frontage on Eldon, commercial buildings or retail buildings where they have the great visibility from the major traffic arterial. And extend the street through again, the center, and have liner townhouses and then parking structures, because you're gonna need parking structures with a project this intense in development to park all of the residential and commercial uses. And we could see in this scenario, about 44,000 square feet of retail and about 154 residential units in this reconception. We could play with design concepts all day long for the Pine Shopping Center. It's a big land area. And John and I were talking, we kicked around so many, all the team members had a crack at it. We came up with all sorts of redevelopment scenarios. But the reality is that, it's highly speculative at this point. We just wanted to illustrate for you that this particular land has a lot of value and it could offer you some opportunities in the future.